most pressing issue facing us today. I mean, I'm worried about land use and other species extinction and things like the pollution that comes off of these concentrated animal feeding lots, genetically modified organisms. I'm concerned about all that stuff, but it's nowhere near as troubling to me as global climate change. Sustainability is about changing the way we live. And a huge part of how we live, right, is what we eat.
Our population does eat meat, and the largest portion of that is beef. And so beef is also one of the most intensive use of grain and food and water. So to produce a pound of beef, it takes about 1,800 gallons of water. Most of that water isn't going into the cattle do drink water, but most of it is going into the grain or grass that is used to turn plant material into meat protein.
Things that I realized was, people had been paying me to talk about gardening and other sorts of things. So I realized I actually had the gift of land, right? And I wasn't afraid to try new things. We had a lot of grass, right? And I didn't really want to spend all my days mowing grass. I like to eat well.
The impact of producing that meat protein is much harder on this planet that we share than producing plant protein. It's basically you're eating higher up the food chain, right? So just like lions, right? Lions eat a lot of meat. We don't see billions of lions on the planet. We see a small number. The Earth can only sustain a very small number of people at the top, or things, of species at the top of the food chain. So when you eat way up there at the top of the food chain and eating a lot of meat, you are consuming a whole lot more resources than those who are eating lower on the food chain.
Sunshine and rain and keeping them moving, right, onto fresh pastures is what controls our manure.
That production becomes a lot of waste. The fecal matter from cattle are equivalent to about 23 humans on a daily basis.
And we know that animals produce a lot of methane, and methane is a very powerful greenhouse gas. It's got a much more heat trapping capacity than carbon dioxide or the other greenhouse gases. So we want to produce less methane in the world, and so eating less animals is a great way to do that. So we can reduce our carbon footprint and maintain our ability to sustain life on this planet just by eating less meat, as well as all the water.
Don't eat meat every day, We have this idea that we need meat for the protein part of it, which it's clear, and agreed on that we all get way too much protein.
Everybody keeps eating meat like every meal or every day, then we are only going to get to the crisis point even quicker, whether it's in terms of resources, land use, the other species that we share this planet with. Like, we cannot sustain the 7 billion people on the planet with a meat-based diet. It's just impossible. We don't have enough Earths.
So able to make a projection would be that we will be eating things that they might look like a hamburger, they might smell like a hamburger, but they might actually be made from insects.
We can live sustainably today. We can choose to live sustainably right now, but we have to make that choice, and we have to give up the sort of old, polluting, fossil-fueled, unsustainable way of living and start realizing all of the benefits that come from more sustainable living.